first of all, the Geiger counters went crazy. And yeah, like
Right, okay.
pegged it.
Like a movie.
You like
I
it?
like it. Okay. Can we talk about Global Atomic?
Right.
Okay, I want to get into the detail of it. It's in the uranium space. It's in Niger, which is a very well known space for uranium. It's very, very
Fourth
good.
largest producer.
Absolutely, and high grade for Africa, right?
Yeah.
But before we do, let's talk about the team. Okay,
Right.
because I'm a strong believer and strong advocate that the team needs to know what they're doing, be able to talk about what they're doing, be able to deliver that. So, who's on the team? Who have you brought on board?
George and I really got things going. George is a professional geologist that's been working in West Africa since the 80s. We started working together in Ghana on a gold project that Denison had in 1985 called Bogasu. One of our prime consultants is a mining engineer, Royal School of Mines, named Fergus Kerr. He was running all Denison's operations in Elliott Lake.
So he's got uranium experience.
Big time.
Okay.
Dr. Peter Wollenberg, he was the head of Areva's uranium department in North America. He was credited with the discovery of a number of uranium deposits. One of the big ones is in the Northwest Territories in Canada. And then we have our CFO, Rain Lahari. He's ex-PricewaterhouseCoopers. Yeah, and finally, the last gentleman I can name here as part of our team is Merlin Marr Johnson. He's a geologist. He's worked with many companies, mineral companies, exploration companies, and he'll be our London liaison.
Who of that team actually manages these sort of in-country relationships?
Well, I mean, basically, George Flack is our VP Exploration. He's also a vice chairman of the company, but he spends a lot of time in Africa. Merlin is now helping him with that whole aspect as well. You know, we put together a real core team, and as we move along and complete feasibility study, we add to that team as we required to.
So if you're making investments, you need to consider if you think this team understands what it's doing. So that's a big deal. You've deliberately gone about putting a very well versed and experienced uranium team together.
Absolutely.
That was a big consideration.
Yeah. It's a 56-meter long kiln. It's like a cement plant.
Yeah.
You put the waste in there with some feedstock from coking coal, etc., and you volatilize the zinc that's left in the waste. So we bought that plant and refurbished it, got it going again by the end of 2009, and it's been making money ever since.
So you're not running or operating that business. It's something that you started, you've monetized, and someone else is operating. Okay, so
that's
that
right.
Sounds smart to me. It's throwing off cash. What are you going to do with that cash?
Cash flow from that zinc can help us develop the large uranium asset.
I want to understand your impression of Niger, doing business there. How are you going to go about doing it? What are the barriers? What are the things that you're seeing that you're dealing with to be able to do business in Niger?
So we're in an area that's very well known for uranium mining. We've particularly zeroed in on that area because of, obviously, good geology and the fact that we did have infrastructure.
So why haven't the French picked, if they've been there for so long, why haven't the French picked up this land?
Well, the French owned all of this land.
Right.
But because of what happened in 2005 with the government effectively telling the French, listen, we're not going to allow you to own the entire basin.
Well, and just sit on it.
Sit on a land bank it.
Yeah.
So we want other companies in here. We want other companies spending money developing projects.
Right.
So we're going to leave you with 8 concessions, and we're going to divvy up the rest to people that are interested.
Well, of course, but their considerations are around employment, taxation, royalties, etc.
Absolutely.
Of course, right?
Absolutely. This is their number one revenue generator in the country, is uranium mining.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons we're there. I mean, in Canada, these are fantastic deposits in the Athabasca, but it takes minimum 10 years, maybe up to 20 or 30 years to permit those mines. In Niger, 4 to 6 months.
What are the other barriers? What are the other obstacles that you need to, you can see coming which you're going to have to deal with or manage, because it's all about risk mitigation at your business, right?
Well, I think Niger, of course, one of the big issues that comes up is security in the country.
Right.
So we've been there operating and running projects for many years now. We have a good security system in place.
Yeah.
The Niger government wants to attract foreign investment, so they're really clued in on the security situation. The Timor-Soy Basin is seen as a strategic area, so they have a lot of military there. The Americans have built a new military base just 100 kilometers south of us. The French have one 100 kilometers north of us.
Yeah.
So, the area is very well patrolled. Niger is totally aligned with the West as far as, being the hub of security for West Africa. So, there are these, I would say, sporadic attacks from various Al-Qaeda factions in West Africa. But Niger's managed to keep things fairly under control for some time now, and of course, we expect them to continue that, and particularly with the American presence there, and uranium being the material, they don't want that being jeopardized. We've developed 4 uranium deposits there with one major discovery called Dasa. We picked the areas specifically that were exciting.
Right.
But, of course, when we went in to follow up, on some of them, we found deposits that could be exploited. So we did a lot of drilling on our Tinnigaran concession.
Yeah.
But it was a typical, lower grade African surface uranium project. We were looking for something bigger. We're in elephant country here, so we followed our nose. We did a lot of prospecting on surface, Geiger counters walking across the ground. And beside one of our other projects called Daji, about a mile away, we found a blowout, we call it. I call it
What's
a blowout.
that mean?
It means that from down below, something is percolated up a crack.
Okay, literally a blowout.
It's
Right,
left a blob on surface.
Okay.
And that blob, first of all, the Geiger counters went crazy. And pegged it.
Like a movie.
You like
I
it?
like it. Okay.
So we took this material, brought it to Canada, assayed it. It was running at 30% uranium.
Okay.
So we said, "Holy smoke! I mean, this is something unseen in Africa." And so we said, "Okay, well, we need to start working around this area." So we laid out a drill program, and when we drilled through this Abinki, we hit the mother lode.
Right.
So this Abinki had created an impervious
Like a
cap, and
right,
on top of it a mudstone.
Right.
We're in a graben, so a down-faulted block covered with a mudstone, Abinki. It totally sealed this deposit from the surface, except for that little chute that
which
came
is
up.
So you're able to paint that picture of what it's looking like underground quite easily as a result. Then,
Yes.
presumably.
So we've done about 140,000 meters of drilling there now.
It's all shallow drilling by the sounds of it.
Well, no, we did the shallow, but we drilled right down to about 700 meters. So
As far as that, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We've got grades in it running over 20% uranium.
Okay.
We've got large areas that are running at 1 to 4% uranium.
Right.
But overall, I mean, it's just a spectacular deposit.
It's more significant than most other uranium deposits in Africa. Some of the other
It is,
deposits.
and of course, this is right out of Peter Wollenberg's mouth. It's the largest, highest grade sandstone-hosted uranium deposit in the world.
But one, you need to be able to mine economically.
That's right.
And two, I think obviously the whole market is hoping that the uranium price recovers, and then you've got to work out what you can get out of the ground at the point you decide to go back into market, right? So all of the usual mining rules apply there.
I think the Dasa stands out in that regard because the material, the mineralized material, comes right to surface. We can start mining
Open
right
pit.
from surface, open pit. That's
Okay,
correct.
so that keeps the cost down.
Keeps our costs down.
But at some point, you're going to have to go underground, aren't you?
Well, I would say eventually, as the deposit goes deeper, you would
Yeah.
have to make that decision from an economic point of view.
Right.
Many cases, you mine an open pit down to, let's say, 300 meters, and then you go in with a ramp from the pit, and you continue mining down to 800 meters. But, that's something that'll happen 30 or 40 years from now.
Right.
So for the next 10 years, it's going to be a very easily mined open pit, right from surface, low strip ratio. We've done all the metallurgical test work on the material. The uranium leaches with typical sulfuric acid leaching. There's no nasties in the ore. So it should be a very low-cost producer. Kazakhstan currently has the lowest production cost with in-situ leaching.
Sure.
But I would say that our cost, typically we would be able to mine a pound, to process, and put it in a drum for under $20 a pound.
How quickly can you get into production? And there's a bunch of factors going. Your feasibility study, you can make an economic decision at that point. You then got to apply for a mining license. You're saying that's a relatively quick process because there's a lot of uranium mines already.
You know, if Orano would like some feed by 2021, we could start then.
Okay.
If we have to build a plant, it would be probably 18 to 24 months later.
Let's understand what happens next. What are the options? I want to understand what's happening in your head. What are you thinking about? You're building something great here in Niger, by the sounds of it. You believe you are. You've also got some optionality at what point you check out, right?
I believe, you have to assess things as they come along. We would like to develop this project because there really, frankly, is none other like it in Africa. There are very good projects in Canada, but the timeline to develop those is very long. So I think ours is exceptional from that point of view, both in the size, grade, value, and time that you can actually start making money.
Why is it Global Atomic versus the other?
Well, I think it's
companies?
Global Atomic, number one, we're a profitable company. We're not coming to the market
Unusual.
every few months.
Yeah.
That's very unusual.
Yeah.
Number two is the size and quality of the asset. There's just nothing like it out there with a short timeline to production. So that would be the top qualifiers. I would say is excellent project, good jurisdiction, very quick permitting timelines, definitely growth potential there. This thing could get even bigger than it is, and the profitability of the company as we currently sit.